1997. It was time to do more than just be vegan. Four of my so-called close friends, one who's still solid, decided we were gonna go liberate some animals who were enslaved in cages, soon to be murdered. That we all had to go drive and meet each other somewhere so nobody could say that somebody twisted somebody else's arm and made them do it. She knew where this place was in Blenheim, Ontario. We had actually 4 people ready to go. We needed a 5th, and my uncle, my mom's brother, was the only family member back then who would actually listen to me and watch videos. Never turned veg, but he watched the slaughterhouse videos, the fur videos, cry, and he just listened. It was nice to have somebody listen back then. Pat, the driver, is going to drop us off at the farm. 2 o'clock, go back into town. We had spotted a bar. She was going to sit there for an hour, come back at 3 o'clock, 1 hour. I was going to open the cages. Robin was going to cut holes in the perimeter fence with Alan. And when she was done, she was going to come help me open the cages. Hilma was going to spray paint all over the farm. One cage, I'm opening door after door after door after door. I had this little rhythm going out. I was warned the Mink are carnivores and they're going to attack me. They're bullshit. They're going to know why we're all there. Those animals have a sense that we lost along the way, the more we became disconnected from living in the natural world. I only had one incident. As I opened up cage after cage, one mink dove out and landed on my chest in an attack mode on her back hind leg. She looked at me like, "I thought you were the other guy," and jumped off. I'm like, "Yeah, I knew it. So what was happening that night wasn't 1,542 mink eventually trying to attack me. Those 1,542 mink looking for the exit. And I remember their screams of joy, symphony of freedom. They were just looking for the way out. I remember 2 cages that were just rusted so badly that I couldn't open them, and I passed them. I mean, we had to get this going, so I was trying to cut it, and I would pass them and then go like 10, 15 cages down and keep looking back. They were just like, "Well, don't forget about me," and I'd go back and I'd just kick the fucking cage and break it because I couldn't. Rob had joined me. We were in the last shed. We were almost finished completely. He starts helping me, and all of a sudden, unfortunately, I see some car lights going back and forth, and I went over to Robin. You see 2 cars talking to each other. I knew something wasn't right. I heard, "Hey, motherfucker, stop right there!" It's the Mink farmers. Grab Robin, start running, and I can't pick her up and run with her. I thought she was behind me, and it just took off. I look around, there's no Robin. I'll tell you now what happened. She ended up freezing. She got scared and didn't run, and she was apprehended on the spot by one of the Mink farmers. And I was terrified for her. She was a very close friend of mine, and we had a pact before going in that whoever got away, got away. We were all willing to give our freedom. That's the way it was. Cops are there now. I see there's 2 or 3 sirens going. So I run out into the field about 100, 200 feet. And I just kind of kneel down for a second. And all of a sudden I hear some rustling. Like, oh man, what is going on now? And somebody's walking towards me with my uncle. "Alan, is that you?" I said, "Gary?" And it was Alan. He ain't got no way. So we hooked up back there. Found out later, Helma just laid down in the ditch, which she was apprehended and found easily. They brought out police dogs right away. Now we hear the police dogs by them. Get down like we're soldiers, and we're just gonna crawl our asses as far as we can away. Get back to town. Unfortunately, I had taken out my money and my ID. Turns out to be a bad move on my part. The one convenience store over. I go to the convenience store clerk and I ask him to call a cab for us. He calls the cab. A little suspicious, 3:30 in the morning, a couple Americans covered in big shit. Once the cab driver shows up, but I will give you $500 once we get to the casino. This was a prank by some fraternity kids, and they left us out here. We don't know where we're at. The guy felt some empathy for us. He looks at me and says, "Here, Alan and I are in the car, not really talking. We didn't expect this to happen like this. We hoped it went better, but we thought we were home free." The police had called, we went around the city and went to the convenience store, asked if anything suspicious happened. Like a half hour later, the phone rings to the guy in the car, his cell phone. Al and I do think we're home free. And then 45 minutes later, man, all of a sudden, police lights go. The cops were on the phone, slowly finding out where the cab driver was. We're on the 401, head back. He starts talking, but the only thing he's saying is yes and no. Cab driver asking, are there 2 people in your car? Do they smell like shit? I got in the cab and it's like, oh, man. cops had their guns drawn, came out. We didn't resist. Again, we were willing to do this, willing to go to jail. We got arrested that night. Now, to get us back to the police station, do not say a word under any circumstances. Remember, they are not your friends. And of course, the interrogation starts, and all of a sudden they put us in a cell, and across from us, Pat, the driver, Hilma, and Robin. So everyone's kind of freaked out. One by one, they take us in for questioning. Everybody else knew the routine about remaining silent. They took Alan, and I comes out. I'm not here to say anything, right? He goes, I told him everything. What the fuck you mean you told him everything? What do you mean? On. And the police are adept at getting you to roll over. That is their job. They can lie legally to you, tell you all they're saying this. But Gary, you're going down. Everybody else is telling us that you organized this. And I'm going to take your house away. You can lose your job. This is your only chance to speak. You'll never get another chance. You better say something now. What do you mean? He goes, I've never been arrested. I've never been fucking arrested either. Haven't you watched enough TV shows? You fucking idiot. It's a debacle, obviously, from here. 4 of us, the others remain silent. The court system is refusing to give us any bail. They claim that we're going to go back to America and never go back to Canada for the charges, and there's no extradition for Mink liberations. This goes on for 10 days. They took us back to see our attorneys, and my attorney sits down with me and says, Gary, I just want you to know that Robin's in the back now, and she's giving a statement, and she's being bailed out. I remember raising my voice going, Steve, that is not what's going on. Do not say that about Gary. As your attorney, I just want to let you know what's going on. I said, Steve, I don't want to hear another word about this. Whatever's going on back there is not what you think's going on. Robin's solid. She ain't saying shit. Later, we all get brought back in the courtroom, and they had us all together in that little bench area. Now there's only 4 of us, and there's no Robin. And all of a sudden, Robin walks in the courtroom, teary-eyed, with her head face down. She won't look up, and she sits down next to me. I can tell that she saved her own ass. Robin ends up giving a statement, and she freaks out because her parents threaten to disown her, and her parents are wealthy, and they're going to cut her off from the family money. And all of a sudden, the judge comes in, and she starts reading Robin's statement aloud. This is what we did. We met here. We went over here. It was Gary's job to open up the cage. It was Hilma's job to spray paint slogans on the sheds. It was Alan's job to cut holes in the fence. Pat was the getaway driver, and she was supposed to meet us in detail. They are reading her statement, and we're all 4, even Alan, who had already given a statement, like looking at her like, part of the statement was, and Hilma had been to the farm before and liberated about 50 animals, but stopped because security came. And we're just like, well, shit, why'd you just bring up my everything? When we're thinking like, hey, tell them about the windows we broke in McDonald's fucking 3 months ago. The fuck, what are you telling them that for? Get her, and she walks out. The 4 of us are sitting there. And I'm going, $10,000 bail forever. Well, Robin ended up not doing 1 day in jail. She never came back for the trial. Alan, because of his statement, ended up cooperating and forfeiting his $10,000 bail to the Mink scum. He never did a day in jail, but during my trial, the key thing that convicted me was he took the stand. And when they asked him who I was and what I did, he pointed me out and told them everything. They really wanted to get me because of vociferousness. Pat was willing to testify, sold me out, sold me off the river. My closest animal rights friend did the same thing. Hilma Ruby was the only one that stayed true to the animals. And it wasn't so much that I was angry at Robin, Pat, and Alan. I was angry that they sold the animals out. We all had an agreement. This was for something bigger than our freedom, our safety. This was for somebody else. Part of the agreement, too, to get bailed out was we weren't supposed to speak to each other. Finally said, fuck that. I call her up one day. She noticed me, and she picks up the phone and just starts crying. I haven't even said a word yet. But Gary, nothing. How could you do this to the animals? Forget about me. It's all about not having a trust fund. It's hard to trust people. It's been Alan and Robin. Why over the years I just really have a hard time trusting anybody to do anything. This is where it started. And so we finally get to trial 2 years later. 3-day trial goes on, and of course I'm convicted. And 25 Mink farmers were in the courtroom. The head of the Mink liberation in Canada was there, and I had a speech prepared. My attorney was so opposed to me giving this speech because of the tone. No apology. The course, from me explaining the injustices that animals endure. In a nutshell, I remember was, if it's not a crime to torture, enslave, and murder animals, how can it be a crime to free tortured, enslaved, and soon-to-be murdered animals? We have a paradox here today, and the court has to address this. The judge ends up saying the trite platitude about, it's not that I disagree with you, Mr. Yourofsky, what you believe in, it's the way you went about it. And I interrupted him and said, everybody has broken unjust laws. The whole thing, Rosa Parks, Nelson Mandela, throughout history. Don't tell me laws haven't been broken to make everybody see the injustice. I can see I'm not going to convince you to change your mind about the things you've done, but the laws of the land force me to send you to jail. Just so you know, I had hoped that this judge was going to be the first judge. I cannot convict you for the compassionate things that you've done. Fortunately, it did not happen. I believe it will happen one day. Some judge somewhere on this planet is going to strike his gavel down for an animal liberator and say, you can walk out of this courtroom right now. Those animals didn't deserve it. You have done something noble and magnanimous, and I cannot send you to jail. You're not the criminal. People harming the animals are criminals. This is why I went to trial. I wasn't trying to avoid my responsibility. I went and did the Mink liberation. I was there. I wasn't trying to get out of it. Now, my attorney pulls me aside too and says, man, that speech worked. Just so you know, you were getting 2 to 3 years. You just saved yourself. They cuffed me. I'm in militant mode. They walked me down the aisle to get out, and 25 mink farmers, and I just stopped and looked down the aisle, head up, proud, looking straight in. It did not affect me. It didn't hit me, until I hit the prison cell by myself. That holy shit, what the fuck? I was gonna do a 40-day fast on behalf of the animals, which freaked out the whole entire system. When I thought media was important back in the day, the fast only ended up lasting 10 days. Quickly, here's why. I preached a lot in jail, especially on day one. There was a TV set on in the corner. International terrorist, Gary Yourofsky. Gary Yourofsky, international terrorist. Every station had international terrorist next to my name. And why international? I'm from Michigan, it's Canada. I'm global. I'm getting a kick out of it, and the guys realize finally I'm in them, because one guy's kind of looking at the TV, looking around the room, and he sees me back in the corner. He's, you an international terrorist? That's funny, man. You don't look like an international terrorist. That's because I'm the exact opposite of one. Here's why I'm here. I freed some mink. What the hell's a mink? I had to explain it. Wait a second. They put you in here with us? Now, it was a maximum security detention cell. They didn't get in. They're like, they put you in here with us because you freed some rats? I also caused $2.1 million in damage to the mink farm and put them on a business permanently to this day, and we do not tolerate economic sabotage in our society. Now the prison finds out that other prisoners are joining this hunger strike. I realize these prisoners are doing it for me. We got along. They understood a little of the issues, but they weren't animal rights activists. They understood it was wrong to be breaking the necks of mink. They were getting the fur issue while I was there. Warden comes down and they say, just so you know, we are now actively searching for everyone else who is doing a hunger strike. And when we find out, they are all getting extra charges. And that's now also not too cool. In jail to be getting other people in trouble. So I ended up backing down off the hunger strike, and I said, if I agree to start eating, promise me that you won't search for anybody else and leave them alone. We can agree to that. And you are going to eat in front of us, though. This tore me up. I was in tears. I had a moment. I thought I was letting everybody down. They were honorable. Didn't search for anybody after that. So sure enough, I go in and they agree that they're going to deport me and throw me out of Canada. Day 60, they tell me I'm getting out, so 77 days. And now I'm with my cellmate, and we're talking. I'm like, when do they get me? He's like, dude, you're lucky to be getting out. Would you just relax? Okay, well, I wish they were coming to get me today. They open up the cage and say, Yourofsky, get your stuff, you're a free man, let's go. The customs were there, put me in a van, handcuffed me, passed me over to America. I said, well, they might hold you there. I don't know what they're gonna do. You might not be getting out. We've heard of people being held there for weeks and weeks. My heart dropped. And I went from no freedom to freedom to, oh, not out yet. I'm just like, you're kidding me. So they take me into the customs area when we finally get there. They sign me over like I'm an object to the American people. Head of the customs of the American side says, what's your story? I said, I'm the guy that freed all that mink. I know you heard about it in the papers. He goes, that was you? Just get the hell out of here. And just like that, I walked out the door. My dad was sitting there waiting for me, cigar in his mouth. Nice face to see when I got out. And that was that.